Social media hasn't democratized status. It's just made it visible in real time. David Brooks.
I've talked about class in terms of how it affects hobbies such as video games and pastimes such as spectator sports. But the one question I've been frequently asked, and it's kind of the elephant in the room, really, given the content that I make and how you're watching this, is what about social media? Welcome to Analyzing Finance with Nick. In this video, we're going to break down social media and how the social media economy connects to the real world economy and social class hierarchical structures. First, we're going to talk about usage of social media. The strongest correlation is age. Generally, assuming you're over 15 years old, the younger you are, the more social media you are using. And the older you are, the less social media you are using. And because of that, there's a somewhat of an income correlation because lower income people tend to use more social media. But what's not necessarily clear, is it because younger people generally have lower incomes, or is it that people who have lower incomes are using social media for the same reason I've mentioned that a lot of lower income men are playing video games, because they don't really have the money or the mental bandwidth to do something more productive after a hard day of work. So that's kind of the chicken or the egg problem with really it comes to income correlation and social media. And also because research on social media is really fresh, there really isn't that much defined data on it. So a lot of this video is going to be more my own hypotheses on this. But if I had to look at it from my worldview as a YouTuber, as somebody who knows people of multiple generations, as somebody who's studied socioeconomic trends, I would say that there is somewhat of a negative correlation between social media use and income. Mainly, again, because social media, like video games, is a very affordable, cheap way to consume time, particularly leisure time. Also, there's the age component. And then on top of that, social media content provides a lot of aspirational content for those looking to move up. So, and it's advantage on the platform too. Like I would say platforms like TikTok and Instagram probably skew more on the lower income side, whereas platforms like X and LinkedIn skew more to the middle to upper middle class. Whereas I think the true elites probably do not use much social media at all, except for YouTube. I think YouTube is kind of universal across the entire class structure because people go to YouTube for different reasons. Lower class people on YouTube might go for cheap entertainment or to learn something to help them advance. Higher income people might go to YouTube to learn about something just of their intellectual curiosity. I think there's something for everybody on this platform of all social classes. So that's why I think YouTube's a little bit different. But I think other social media platforms, the income profile and the class profile, I think is a little bit more clear cut. So that in terms of usage, I think it kind of splits along those lines. The other real element to this is producers of social media versus consumers of social media. I think that the producers of social media tend to be much higher in income than the consumers of social media. I always try to make it a goal, and I'm far from perfect at this. I'm probably not even close, to be quite honest, to being a net producer of content on YouTube. That I make more content or I put more work into producing content than I actually watch on this platform. And so if I want to watch more YouTube, theoretically, I should make more YouTube or work on improving the quality of my existing videos or platform. A lot of the most notable and largest YouTube channels were started from people of means and from higher classes that they have either a bunch of capital to deploy to immediately get off the ground, or they have other sources of income that they don't really have to rely on social media. I've did a video about this called Why You Shouldn't Be a YouTuber for a Career, even though a lot of Gen Zers, that is their dream career, ironically, because the variability of the income on YouTube and the relatively low payouts for advertising just doesn't make the numbers work. It could be used as a viable opening funnel for a off social media business. And I think that the most people who have middle class, professional class backgrounds who are successful on YouTube aren't because of YouTube itself. It's because they've built a business where YouTube is the main marketing engine of. If you see like a channel that blows up all of a sudden they might have one great piece of viral content, but a lot of it also is they're probably putting in more resources in terms of production quality, marketing, and promotion that your average person with a webcam is simply not doing. And because of that, I think the skew towards creators also skews more towards higher income, higher social class backgrounds. The other thing too is a lot of higher wealthy elites you think would not waste their time on social media, like the Ray Dalios of the world, are prominently all over LinkedIn and YouTube and other social media, not because they need the extra money from it or they care about how much likes they're getting, but it's more of a legacy shaping decision. Prior to social media, if you wanted to see how your legacy was going to be constructed, you'd have to win over the favor of the establishment media. But now with social media platforms, you can directly, with no gatekeepers, no editors, no nothing, share your perspective directly and shape how the rest of the world thinks of you rather than some editorial slant by the reporters in your industry. And this is very powerful. And this also kind of shows the new versus old money split often in social media content creation. I don't really think there are that many old money content creators. I think the one notable one I could think of is Malcolm Collins, who has been a guest on this channel for multiple videos. He's from old money family in Texas, yet he's still putting himself out there to promote his own personal pronatalist cause. But he's kind of the exception. I haven't really seen that many others. More of the wealthy who are on platforms are new money, who've made their wealth and newfound wealth generally among your peers, and whether just in your age group or just social class or people who live the same time as you, generally look down upon that. And so people want to shape their legacies. So you see, like, for example, the Ray Dalios, the Bill Gates, the Mark Andreessen, the All In podcast guys. They don't need to do this for money or fame. They've got plenty of what they do it for is so that they feel like their ideas matter. It shows that they're relevant and that their contribution to the national and global conversation may leave a real legacy that lasts beyond their lives. And I think a lot of the old money families are just more comfortable living a life of luxury and leisure behind the scenes, whereas the same drive that inspired a lot of the new money people to make their new fortunes also inspires them to leave a legacy that lives far beyond their lifespan. So even among the wealthy, I think the content producers tend to skew new money or the children of new money, if I had to guess what the social classes of most content producers. Again, there are some exceptions. Like Mr. Beast came from a middle-class background. I think PewDiePie also came from a middle-class background. And there are several other ones that have come from middle to lower middle-class backgrounds. I think that lower-class people consume more social media for the same reason that a lot of people consume video games, television, professional sports. I think that content creators tend to skew more new money. And I think that also certain platforms have variants. I think the most, in terms of highest volume content producers, might skew more towards middle-class people who are looking to advance up because they see like a bigger social media presence as a way to gain status and move up the social ladder. And it has lower barriers to entry than similar ways of doing that. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. And if you have any specific questions for me in terms of wealth management, financial planning, other forms of advice, or you just want to talk to me, I do schedule consultations. You can see a link to my Calendly below if you want more of that. I'm also continuing the Analyzing Finance Nick tour. We're heading off to Europe this summer and also Seattle and Santa Cruz. So I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. And let me know if you have any other questions. And thank you for watching.